Hey everybody, what's going on? Glad you made it. It is late. It's late in the day. You know, this late show actually was a little bit on purpose. Had some babysitter issues, things like that over at the Shimura household, but we're here, and so this will be interesting. See who's on the late schedule. It's the late show, folks. Anywho, got a great show today. Ooh, uh-oh. Got hiccups starting. Hiccups are starting early. This is bad timing. Let's see, who do we got? YouTube is popping in. Faye Liverens over on D Live there. Hello, hello. We got Modern Day Bible Study. Akio, more of Daniel. Dead Sea Scrolls Gaming. Yo, Marty K's here. What's going on? Okay, yeah. We're just going to go ahead and get this show started. And, yeah, I don't think there's anything to announce. So I guess we have some time left on the clock, but no, we don't. We're going. We're going, baby. Let's do it. You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk. Today is June 21st, 2023. We are live to tape on episode 636. And today, Entity Do List. Signing on from Off the Grid, Razzle Dazzle. I'm your best buddy, Basil. Mm. Mm. Yeah, we might need to redefine what emergent phenomenon means, Gons, but I don't think that's how it works. But yes, unfortunately, we'll be not talking about the submarine. There's rumors going around the Twitterverse that the submarine either doesn't exist at all or has already imploded. So either way, that's not a great way to go. Crushed by the weight of
I don't know, man. Did
a
you
jillion pounds of pressure?
One of the guys that was supposedly in that thing was the guy that allegedly flew over the South Pole and North Pole, by the way.
I'm being told that you're muted, Gonz.
It's fixed.
Okay, yeah. All right.
So, yeah, anyway, let's move on. What are we doing? Hi, you're back. You're in some weird concoction.
Yeah, you're clipping a little bit for me. I don't know if that's something we can do. But yeah, we're back. Sorry about Monday, folks. I had it wasn't an emergency doctor's appointment, but it was a doctor's appointment that was unforeseen. Well, the doctor's appointment was foreseen, but then he wanted to get me in for some imaging, blast me with some more radiation, baby. But so far, everything looks fine. False alarm. So thanks for noticing, everybody. Let's go ahead and give that disclaimer and get moving, huh?
Guess so, yeah. Let's do it.
It's time for a disclaimer.
Now listen up, YouTube.
That's right. And just for all the content moderators and censorship managers out there, be they robots or humans, everything you hear on this show comes directly from the mainstream corporate news media. We do not claim to be experts on healthcare, geopolitics, military strategy, corporate law, or the moral and ethical implications of any of these topics, nor do we implicitly or explicitly support or subscribe to any sources or narratives containing misinformation, disinformation, or malinformation, as defined by the Department of Homeland Security. We're good boys. All right, YouTube, we're good boys. That's right. No misinformation here, folks. And let me give you a rundown.
Oh, look, here's Basil.
Let me bring you up to speed.
Yeah, we're going to be starting out with a clip from Trump and his warning to warmongers. Then we swoop it in, taking a double take on the Pentagon accounting error. There's some updates on that, and boy, oh boy, is Zelensky going to be happy. Then we'll be checking in on CERN. It's been a while since we had some CERN updates. Not only do they have a big new project, but the AI conversation is starting to use CERN as an example for how we should handle either the future of humanity or the end of humanity. Then, for the Flippy update, necrobotics are back, folks. That's right. We'll be talking about dead things and reanimating them via the power of robotics. Then, China, the old China check-in. We got some updates from the chief of Raytheon. That's right. That's who you want to be listening to.
Keep up.
If you want to know what you should and shouldn't worry about when it comes to your geopolitical rivals, listen to the military-industrial complex. Then a quick check-in with some updated Chinese spying policies. This one is going to be fun. Then an interesting revelation over at The Conversation, the sort of slow disclosure of, hey, we don't need to hate everybody who believes in conspiracy theories. In fact, maybe you should listen to what they have to say. What kind of psyop is this, folks? And at the end of the show, a blitz of Antarctica extravaganza. But first, Gons, let's start with our lead stories.
Trump.
We will launch a new age. I am innocent. They're coming after me. They love killing.
That jingle just keeps getting more and more use, you know.
They love killing.
If the I don't know, the Trump indictments keep coming, that jingle will live forever.
Yeah. Well, let's hear from former President Donald Trump.
Just as importantly, bringing back empowerment will give us a crucial tool with which to obliterate the deep state, drain the swamp, and starve the warmongers, these people that want wars all over the place, killing. They love killing. And the globalists out of our government. We're going to get the warmongers and the globalists out of our government.
It's almost like the shtick. It's his default shtick. He always goes back to draining the swamp and doing all that as part of his campaign. It feels like his other stuff, I don't know, his vaccine stuff, he's losing some supporters, I think, with his doubling down on Operation Warp Speed and still not coming off of how great it was and all that. I don't know. It seems like not a long shot, obviously, but it just seems like, I don't know, he's repeating some old tricks.
I don't know, man. I wouldn't be so down on it. Everybody hates the warmongers. That's what that's what's going to bring the Republican Party together, is starving the warmongers. Not even that. The independents love that too. The anti-war sentiment, I think, is a great move, and that's a pretty strong word. Starve the warmongers, considering that's pretty much our entire government right now. But yeah, the war on the deep state, that's really what animates his base. He knows what he's doing. Don't question the plan, Gons.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of DeSantis supporters. There's a lot of people turning their heads looking at RFK Jr. It seems like a lot of distractions for your trad MAGA, you know?
Yeah, unfortunately, I think everybody is all the what are the not third party, but all the
other candidates.
Anybody who's not Biden and Trump
right.
is basically just taking votes away from Ron DeSantis. Unfortunately, you look at the polling. We got Nikki Haley, we got all these other people coming out onto the
Who's
field.
Voting Pence?
Pence, right, right. Pence.
Oh.
Pence is not taking any Trump votes. He is taking Ron DeSantis votes, if anything.
Man, is anybody voting for Pence? Does he have a loyal Pence following?
Yeah, evangelicals.
That's true, I guess.
That's all his voters are sort of Midwestern Christians,
yes.
Which happens to be a large portion of our audience.
Yeah. Well, do you think he will actually accomplish in obliterating the deep state? I don't know.
Trump?
If he does, then, he might be the Antichrist. So, I mean, I guess he's sort of making his call. But
I think he's just sad that he's not in the club. He wants to be a part of the deep state.
Well, he's made his own deep state, it seems.
I'm going to make a deeper state. It's called the deeper state.
We'll have the deepest state. Okay. All right. Let's move on because we got a lot to cover here.
Quick one. Yeah, we're moving, folks. This is going to be the most efficient show you have ever seen. That's what happens.
Speaking of warmongering.
And you shall hear wars and rumors of wars.
Fight for Ukraine, new world order.
Yahoo News, mirroring AP, headline. Pentagon accounting error provides extra $6.2 billion for Ukraine military aid.
Yay.
Oh, hey, I wish I could just have an accounting error and just have an extra $6.2 billion. That would be fantastic.
Sure.
The Pentagon said Tuesday that it overestimated the value of the weapons it has sent to Ukraine by $6.2 billion over the past 2 years. We have the clip of the girl here talking about it. We don't have to play it, I don't think. It's not really that necessary.
Why not? Play it.
Okay,
it's easy. Easy peasy. Right. The more she says, the less we have to read.
Sure.
From some announcements earlier this year, during the department's regular oversight of our execution of presidential drawdown authority for Ukraine, we discovered inconsistencies in equipment valuation for Ukraine. In a significant number of cases, services used replacement costs rather than net book value, thereby overestimating the value of the equipment drawn down from U.S. stocks and provided to Ukraine. Once we discovered this misvaluation, the comptroller reissued guidance on March 31st, clarifying how to value equipment in line with the financial management regulation and DoD policy to ensure we use the most accurate of accounting methods. We have confirmed that for FY23, the final calculation is $3.6 billion, and for FY22, it is $2.6 billion, for a combined total of $6.2 billion.
Yay.
These valuation errors in no way limit or restricted the size of any of our PDAs or impacted the provision of support to Ukraine. And while the DoD retains the authority to utilize the recaptured PDA, this has no bearing on appropriated USAI or Ukraine PDA replenishment funding approved by Congress.
Good.
So many acronyms. Acronyms all over the place, man. Yeah, I love how this is. So, yes, folks, you are hearing that correctly. They did it again. Of course, we heard they found that first $3 billion a week or two ago. And they went back and checked the next year. That's this year. And boom, we got another couple billion. So it's interesting for an organization like the Pentagon, who's failed every audit they've ever had and can only account for about 30% of their budget. When they do correct accounting errors, turns out it's in their favor. It's going the wrong direction.
Yeah,
we can send more to Ukraine now.
It seems like in this era of revelation that we're in, it's meant to stir in enough of a I don't know, tizzy out of people getting all mad to make something happen. Because just today, Grassley Sanders make bipartisan push to audit the Pentagon and curb wasteful spending. So, it's bringing politicians together, Basil. You got to have a common enemy, and it's
sure.
It's the military-industrial complex. By
the way, this was a a press release. Like she's up at the podium in the White House press briefing room. And this was, all the uses of these acronyms, and she speeds right through it. And she's, the whole thing, it's like they didn't actually want anybody to know exactly what they were saying. If you're talking to the American public and you just start throwing out, she was saying FY. I mean, that's fiscal year. But the way she's just throwing it out, not everybody knows that FY means fiscal year. Not everybody even knows what a fiscal year is. So this was
ferociously Yiddish.
Yeah, she certainly practiced on how to get that information as quickly as possible and in the most confusing manner possible. Yeah. And so that's very nice of them. Good news, folks. We get to send more of our weapons over to the Ukraine.
Well, the one thing nice, 6.2 billion, you can actually build a Large Hadron Collider with that, because back in 2012, I guess inflation, you got to account for that. But it cost about $4.75 billion to build the Large Hadron Collider. So maybe Zelensky's in for a collider.
Yeah, I mean, as useless as it would be for us to spend that money on a new Large Hadron Collider, still a better use of the money than sending it over to Ukraine.
I trust Zelensky. He knows what he's doing with his bookkeeping.
It's hard to launder cash through a Large Hadron Collider.
Sam Bankman-Fried to do it in crypto. All right, but speaking of CERN. This is an article coming from phys.org, and the headline here, CERN plans to collaborate with projects for future gravitational wave observatories. And in this image here, they have like a couple dark Saturns and gravitational waves and all kinds of craziness. The long and short of it, they're supporting a project called the Einstein telescope, and they're going to use it to be able to detect gravitational waves 10 times more powerful than they can now, and it's all going to be used for space-based stuff. But the thing that really interested me, or kind of piqued my interest in looking at this, the key ingredient of future gravitational wave observatories is ultra-high vacuum technology. As the world-leading R&D facility for applications in this field, CERN is one of the few places where people know how to build very long, ultra-high vacuum systems. CERN's decade-long experience...
So they suck.
CERN's decade-long experience of installing complex and ultra-pure vacuum systems underground is an additional benefit for the Einstein telescope, since it will be installed at least 200 meters below the Earth's surface. Just some details to keep in mind as we go through this episode. It'll all come together at the end. But this idea of this ultra-pure vacuum system underground, and it just reminds me of the holiest of holies in the Bible, where you can't go in, no sin can go in. You have to be holy to even step in, or you'll die. It's kind of the science version of that. And we've known about that about CERN, but it looks like they're doubling down on that tech to build this gravitational wave observatory that's going to be 200 meters in the ground. So you're talking about maybe a DUMB. And there you go. I mean, if you're not going to spend $6.2 billion to build another Large Hadron Collider, maybe, do it for one of these gravitational wave detectors. And the experiment will send a laser beam down into the 120 kilometer long triangular shaped tunnel. And they have these mirrors, and it's almost like they're building the cover of a Pink Floyd album. I forget which one it was. Dark Side of the Moon cover. And they're just turning it into one gigantic gravitational wave detector. So
I don't know if I like the name, the Einstein telescope. They need to do like Baphomet telescope.
It's not inflammatory enough for Christians to get mad.
Yeah, the throne of Nimrod or something like that.
Spear or something like that. Nimrod's eye. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so there you go. Just to kind of keep track of CERN, keep touch of what they're up to. But the mention of CERN doesn't end there because there was an article in the Financial Times. It was a short article from Hugh Roberts. He's at the Lanarkshire College, University of Oxford in Oxford, UK. He wrote this article titled Letter. Talk of a CERN for AI is just rhetoric. Don't be fooled. So I'll read this for you here. Rishi Sunak, Stanford, has changed his tune on artificial intelligence regulation. Parenthetical, quote, Sunak to lobby Biden for leading role in AI development. Report June 5th. After staying relatively silent for his first 8 months in office, the prime minister is now promoting a CERN for AI. This echoes the proposal a month earlier by OpenAI's chief executive, Sam Altman, who called for an international regulatory body for AI. Can we do one AI article that doesn't mention Sam Altman, Mr. Chat,
No.
GPT, WorldCoin, Iris Scan guy?
No.
He is the chosen one. It's pretty clear to me. Let's not be fooled by this rhetoric. In its AI white paper published in March, the UK government explicitly stressed the importance of taking a pro-innovation approach to governing AI. Premature regulation, it argues, risks stifling innovation and slowing down AI adoption. Even if we are to believe that the government has had a change of heart in the past few months, we should be skeptical about the solutions put forward. Sunak is not proposing new funding for regulators or domestic legislation that would address the harms of AI. An international regulatory body for AI is a vague proposal that will not introduce meaningful protections anytime soon. We should not forget that shortly after proposing CERN for AI, Altman threatened to pull OpenAI out of the EU due to the bloc's ongoing efforts to actually regulate these technologies. If we're serious about regulation and not just rhetorical, we should fund regulators and listen to their assessment about what new laws or powers are needed. Okay, guy from Oxford, really shilling for the regulators to step in and have an actual impact in the whole AI conversation. And I kind of ranted about this on Twitter, but you and I, Basil, we've been talking about AI in the context of eschatology, biblical eschatology specifically, for 10 years. And we've been looking at the sort of the grandiose picture of where AI is headed. Is it does it have something to do with the mark of the beast or the image of the beast? Perhaps. And there's some, people blamed us for fear mongering when it came to those topics. I find it very interesting that now that there's an AI product out there and there's all these people that are vying for AI supremacy. Now all the conversations that are happening from the elite, the institutions, the governments, everything is we better do something because AI is going to destroy us all if we don't. And how come they don't get, tagged for fear mongering or anything like that?
Yeah.
How come they're allowed to do that?
Right. I mean, the apocalypticism coming from not just the media. I mean, the media's, you can kind of expect it from them, but the quote unquote experts and surprise, surprise, the ones that have some sort of financial gain to be had in the regulation.
Basil froze for a second.
Or regulatory body. Because they're doing a great job of selling it.
Well, and if you compare it to something like climate change, it's almost like you can take climate change articles and just replace the word climate change with AI, and you'll have a similar kind of thing going on. So I don't know. It
really is the only other topic that the secular, especially corporate news media, but also politicians, the elites, the only other thing that they've been so apocalyptic about was climate change. Yeah, it's almost like they're taking the same script and just shifting it over, see how much money they can make.
Yep, that's all part of the game here. So there you go. That's a little CERN update. Okay. It's all over the place, but it's also hidden closely in this age of deceit.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, it's not hidden is our executive producers. We should remind everybody that it is Wednesday and get to it.
It is Wednesday, my dudes. Wednesday.
Hey guys, what date is it? It's Wednesday. Time for the Canary Cry News Talk. Yeehaw!
Wednesday, my dudes. It is Wednesday, my dudes.
That's right. We're doing it. We're halfway through the week. How you feeling so far, Gons?
I'm doing okay. It's quite the adjustment here, and we're trying to figure out babysitters and stuff. So forgive us for the late show time, and we're working things out. But yeah, I don't know if people like it later. I know you don't like it later. I personally
No,
don't
I'm
like
already sleeping. I'm asleep right now.
Okay, well.
Yeah, some wrinkles. I'm still ironing out some wrinkles in the new process here, but you're settling in fine over there?
Yeah, there's some pieces I still need, and yeah, there's some things that I need to do. But overall, it's been nice. I met some nice neighbors. Neighbors are all great here. One of them's a pastor, so I dropped. I wanted to see, what kind of pastor. So I dropped Dr. Michael Heiser's name. Just kind of a good test to see, where they're at in their kind of theology research. But he hadn't heard of him, so that good. That's good. That's good. That
he will
to be learned. Yeah.
Well, he will hear about them.
The great thing though was my kids met his kids. That was the reason why we met. That they have kids about the same age as ours, and they said hello to each other, and then they just started running, and it was this primal moment of it. You don't even need to know anything about, like when you're a kid, about the other person. As long as you run and you run together, there you go. You're like friends for life. It's crazy.
Childhood. Well, speaking of running, I have an update, coyote update here. If you've been following along the saga, the chronicles of the coyote, the gangs of marauding coyotes out here on the range. And in response, I've put in some new security measures, got some tripwires, got some reflective fake predators that's supposed to scare off some coyotes.
Like those wood carved owls and stuff. Is it?
Yeah, okay. These ones are plastic, but I got some. It's not an owl, but it is the face of like a wolf.
Oh,
but it's a little bit smaller, but maybe like a coyote. Yeah, you hang those up everywhere, and that's supposed to scare things off. I don't know. We'll see if it works. But on top of that, I went ahead, and I am now the proud employer of 2 puppies. Got some puppies. That's right,
send
folks.
Me a photo. Am I allowed to show this photo?
I don't know. I'll take a better photo. I'll bring some photos of the puppies. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Didn't really think that was going to be the plan. Look, dogs are great. I love other people's dogs. Was never my plan to get dogs, but the war has begun, and drastic times call for drastic measures. But yeah, I don't consider myself a dog person, but I do have 2 dogs who now work for me. So I'll keep everybody posted. They are babies right now, but so hopefully they don't get in any run-ins with coyotes quite yet, but I'll keep everybody posted.
Are you going to give them an extra robot limb just because they're babies? They gotta make up for their weakness.
See if it works out. Yeah. I might have to hit up Boston Dynamics, get a spot the robot dog, see if I could do like a side-by-side test.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But a spot the robot dog with a shotgun mounted on the top sounds pretty effective.
As long as it kills coyotes.
That's right.
That's the goal.
That's right. And I would say it's time to thank some executive producers.
Oh, okay.
Executive producers.
That's right, folks. We're on the value for value model. You might notice we take no corporate money whatsoever, nor communist money, nor cartel money. No, we take none of that junk. None of that junk. Who needs it? That money don't spend around here. But instead, we are entirely funded by people who get value from the show. You don't got to sit through advertisements. You don't have to experience the subtle, subliminal mind control that is the advertising industry. Instead, all you got to do is take part in the paradigm-shifting knowledge that if we want corporations to decide what media exists and doesn't exist, we're
Yes, sir. Ready to go.
Okay. Well, considering you did not thank producers last episode, is that right?
I was going to thank executive producers had there been any, but there weren't. So, yeah.
Well, financial producers. Did you thank any financial producers?
No.
Okay. Yeah. Considering you didn't thank any financial producers on Monday, it is an extraordinarily light producership day. I don't know. Maybe it's just that time of the month or something. But saving the day, coming in, knight in shining armor, we've got executive producer Rob G.
Rob G. Thank you very much.
That's right, everybody. Everybody, remember that name, executive producer Rob G, because he came in and he made sure that the value for value model prevails once again, that we can sort of justify doing this show and existing alongside all the other wonderful things on the internet. Thank you very much, executive producer Rob G. I did not see a note or anything, but we appreciate you nonetheless.
Where'd you find this?
Thank you, Rob G. Appreciate it.
That's right. Other than that, we did have the deadline for the Canary Cry supply drop last Friday, and I want to thank a couple people that snuck in right below the deadline.
Let's do it. Go ahead.
You want to hit a jingle or anything?
Oh, I can.
I can, he says. Yeah, maybe this is why nobody's producing the show.
Yeah, because I can't hit buttons on time.
Well, you don't want to hit buttons. That's right, folks. The Canary Cry supply drop is our saving grace on days like this when producership is low. We have our Canary Cry supply droppers who commit to supporting the show for $33 a month. That's right. We're sticking it to the Masons over there, or all those 33 lovers. Well, if you want to support the show for $33 a month, go to canarycrysupply.com. We'll start sending you awesome, exclusive, made just for you Canary Cry gear every quarter. And this year, we are sending out DVD copies, hard copies of the Age of Deceit films. So this will not only put this on your DVD shelf, but it will create a network of individuals. When the internet goes down or censorship peaks, we will be ready. And the wisdom and insight of the Age of Deceit films, that's right, made by Kanz Shimura in 2011, will survive. And that's what matters.
Age of Deceit.
Got a couple people who signed up right before the deadline, starting with producer Canary con Queso.
Canary con Queso.
That's a fun one. Canary con Queso.
Canary with
and
cheese?
Then we had supply drop producer Nomen Prunte.
Nomen Prunte. Good to see you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And real quick, I do want to mention the Canary Cry T-Shirt Council. I haven't mentioned the T-Shirt Council in a while. For those who don't know, the Canary Cry T-Shirt Council is an elite group of producers who meet in the smoky, shadowy back rooms of elite institutions all over the world, including the Canary Cry News Talk podcast. And they have dedicated their lives and indeed future generations to deciding the fate of the world, specifically in deciding the next Canary Cry News Talk T-shirt. And we had some, that's right. And they do that to honor them for their commitment of $19.84 per month. You can go to canarycrytshirtcouncil.com, get involved. You got to bring your own black robe, but it's the coolest secret society in the world. And we have a new most important person in the world who just joined up, and I want to thank them now. Their name is Gutter Monkey.
Gutter Monkey.
Yeah, I'm hoping that's not some sort of non-family friendly euphemism, but that is the name.
Okay.
That came in. So I appreciate that, Gutter Monkey.
Thank you.
Okay. Other than that, I think that's it. I think I said all the things I want to say. And I'm ready to get back to the show if you are.
I got one thing real quick that I want to mention, which is the meetups.
Canary Cry Meetup.
Go to canarycrimemeetups.com, look for a meetup happening near you. And if there isn't one, you can choose a location, figure out a date and time, make a flyer, and promote it. And we can help you do any of that along the way.
Yeah. And if you don't know how to make a flyer, I'm sure Sir Dove would love to help you out with that.
Sir Dove's been very helpful with a lot of the flyers there. But we have a meetup report from the Philadelphia meetup that took place last weekend.
Oh, great.
And it's from Mr. Jag. The King of Prussia meetup went very well yesterday. Forgot to take photos, but met with some very nice people and had some great conversations. He told us a little bit about some email issues he had, but sounded like a pretty good time. I would like to know more details. How many people were there? Just Mr. Jag
I think we were
pretty brief about it, but which great. He met some people, hung out, sounded like a good time. But yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I think we were supposed to be waiting for another email to come in. Is that what I'm led to understand? Did we check the Proton mail?
Yeah, I thought so.
Okay.
There was supposed to be like another email for the report.
Yeah, I think he was going to send another email that had an audio report. I think. Maybe I just made that up. But anyways, thanks for the update there, Mr. Jag. Yeah, let us know how many people showed up. Hey, Pennsylvania Canarians, good job. I'm glad this wasn't another nobody showed up to the meetup thing. Mr. Jag came a long way. I'm glad that he got to meet some American Canarians.
Yeah. So there you go. We'll see you at the meetup.
This is fun. See you at the meetup.
We ready for Flippy?
I'm ready.
Flippy update.
Do you want fries with that?
That's right, folks. It's time for the Flippy update. Flippy is our colloquial name for the disembodied robot arms that are taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and flirting with our spouses. We use talking about Flippy as a way to explore all the new, fun, and exciting ways that robots are taking over the world and how there's nothing we can do about it. Today's Flippy update is coming from techexplore.com. We'll be exploring some tech. And the headline, fear not, folks. The headline is Bugs Give Robotic Arms a Hand. Wow.
There's
that's
so many
cute.
So many layers to that.
Yeah.
First of all, bugs have hands?
Bugs are hands if you're a robot.
Hands?
Get ready, folks. Researchers at 3 Japanese universities exploring the potential benefits of collaborations between robots and living creatures found bugs in their project. That's because they put them there. Nice. Specifically, pill bugs. Pill bugs. Now, when I was a kid, these were called roly-polies.
Yeah, roly-polies.
Yeah. Okay. Specifically, roly-polies, also known as woodlice, part of the family of Armadillidae, were selected for the experiment because the tiny critters' natural reflex to grasp objects. Researchers at Japan's Yamagata, Keio, and Tohoku universities, who specialize in interactive biorobotics, wanted to explore how reflexive habits of an entire organism with an exoskeleton can be applied to robotic behavior. Quote, this approach departs from traditional methodologies by leveraging the structures and movements of specific body parts without disconnecting them from the organism. Oh, that's nice. Keeping the bugs in one piece, all while preserving the life and integrity of the creature. Researchers Josephine Galipone said in a paper, quote, biological organisms as end effectors, published on the archive preprint server June 6th. So we got living. So we've seen the spider necrobot, which was a dead spider, which was put on the end of a robotic arm and used as fingers, the most terrifying version of anybody's nightmares about robots. But in this case, it's much nicer because, first of all, the pill bugs, they're cute, they're roly-polies, we all love them, but they're also alive. I don't know if there's any less terrifying strapping a live in order to, act as a hand. But you know what? at least these roly-polies will survive the experience, allegedly. Their conclusion, pill bugs as well as chitons, marine mollusks, can be used as functional grippers when attached to the hands of robotic arms. This is really giving us a weird vibe when you consider the far future of humanity and robots. If for some reason, I don't know why this would be the course of history, but if it turns out that at the end of every robotic arm is some sort of living creature strapped to it, this might be the most sort of hellish version of the robotic future that I can imagine. They noted that prior experiments with attachments to the end of robotic arms, also known as end effectors, utilized body parts such as grafted skin or muscle tissue, but none used an entire organism. They give a little bit of details, talking about all the cool stuff that this roly-poly could pick up while strapped to the end of a robotic arm, talking about corks, talking about wood, talking about all sorts of cool stuff. Here's a fun quote. "We don't mean it as a replacement for robotics, so breathe easy, robots. You won't be replaced by
we're already
bugs."
talking about replacing robots, huh? This just
See,
hasn't
how do
been
you
going
like
very
it,
well.
robots?
For the robots.
We're always talking about robots replacing humans.
Yeah.
Now, what if bugs replace robots? I think we're onto something.
Yeah.
But as a kind of new direction or new way to do both biology and robotics. Wow, it's the sort of melding of the living world with the robotic. Again, the most terrifying future imaginable. The researchers listed a number of promising tasks that might benefit from the grasping reflex of organisms. So head on a swivel, other animals, because the researchers are coming for you. Here's a list of some of the creatures we're going to be strapping on the ends of robotic arms. Mm-hmm. Starting with grippers using a living gecko could retrieve items.
Confirmed,
yeah. Living gecko could retrieve items using microstructures at the end of their toes, little suction cups. Okay. Watch out, octopus, squid, and frogs have appendages with strong suction capacities.
They like suction.
Sea cucumbers can alternate between flexible and rigid grasping. That would be beneficial for tasks requiring varying degrees of retention. Okay. And maybe the most incomprehensible one here, bacteria. Bacteria's flagella, capable of swimming and grasping, could be harnessed to turn into micro-handling machines. We could have a robotic arm moving things around at a microscopic level thanks to bacteria. The researchers also envisioned grasping devices using carnivorous plants, such as the Venus flytrap and Australian sundew. Yeah, get the plants in on it. In fact, any living
Wait a minute.
being.
We've done the story about the flippy arm that did the Venus flytrap. Remember the cyborg Venus flytrap? That was years ago.
It wasn't a flippy arm. It was something else. They did hook up a Venus flytrap, though. That's true. Yeah, but now we're looking at a future of Earth where every living object is now strapped to the end of a robotic arm. This is just how we live our lives now. Life is not for living. Life is for becoming a hand on a robotic arm. The researchers took pains to note, okay, so they really want us to know. They took pains to note that they did not harm any organisms in the experiments. Maybe not physically, but I imagine emotionally these pill bugs will never recover. Perhaps conscious of growing concerns in the scientific community over the ethical treatment of non-vertebrates. So this is a fun thing that I did not know about. The growing concerns of the scientific community over the ethical treatment of non-vertebrates. I mean, we all know about
being built.
We all know about Fauci's beagles and chimps being used for science, all the horrible things they do to animals. The pigs that they got to breathe out of their butts underwater.
Yeah,
Remember that?
Yeah.
That's right, folks. We've been following this stuff for a long time. Yeah. But now it's extending to non-vertebrates, things like pill bugs, mollusks, octopi, things like this. Most recently demonstrated in a scathing report by professors at Kent State University and the University of Maryland, condemning the omen of necrocapitalism after researchers used dead spiders in a project.
Too, didn't we?
Yeah, we're talking about the necrobotics. They called it necrobotics, dead spiders on the end of a robotic arm. The Japanese team stressed their commitment to ethical treatment of organisms. So these Japanese scientists do not want to get mixed up with the necromancy of the Kent State University, the University of Maryland, using dead spiders. No, we use only living geckos for art. It's much more humane. Necrocapitalism is a very cool term that I want to remember forever. And surely
you want to bring it up in conversation. Thanksgiving dinner. What are we talking about? Yes. Have you heard of necrocapitalism?
Necrocapitalism. They
Crazy
do not give
it. Talking about necrocapitalism.
Yeah, they think that I'm crazy now. Wait till I start. Just going to do a quick little search because they do not give a definition of necrocapitalism. You kind of get it through context clues. Let's see here. I've got things coming from Sage Publications. Got something from Western Sydney University. Oh, from 2008. Okay. Oh, wow. We've got Al Jazeera.
Oh, yeah, they would.
Oh, this is good. Listen to this. From neoliberalism to necrocapitalism in 20 years. Okay. Love it. Well, remember that one, folks. Bring that one up at dinner next time you get the chance. The thing ends with this. Quote, "It will be crucially important to enforce bioethics rules and regulations, especially when dealing with animals that have higher cognition," they said. "We recommend caution when handling any type of animal and to exercise mindfulness in avoiding their suffering as much as possible and to the best of our knowledge." So at the end of this article, they kind of turn the whole thing into a animal wellness PSA, something like that. But really, they're trying to distract from the fact that they strapped a pill bug on the end of a robotic arm, and their ultimate goal is to turn the face of the earth into a robotic hellscape where every living being has a robotic arm attached to their back, and their only existence is to be the fingers, to serve the arm of our metal robotic masters. So keep that in mind, folks, as we move forward into a new and bright, shining apocalyptic future. And get ready, because Flippy doesn't just want to serve you. Flippy wants you so close that you are literally a part of him. Thanks, Flippy.
Well, also the header image here, it's got kind of a graphic. It's got the picture of the pill bug with the robot holding him. But next to it is sort of a graphic of that. And the pill bug looks like Pac-Man. So is this Pac-Man coming to life?
What are you talking about? You mean because he's all rolled up like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's real life Pac-Man.
It's much more terrifying. I mean, imagine Pac-Man with like 1,000 wriggling teeth that he can pick you up with. Yeah, you're right. Okay, you have officially described a more nightmarish future than I was imagining before. Mm-hmm. Now, as we all discover necrocapitalism together as our new and improved economic system, I thought it might be important to go ahead and look and see if necrocapitalism.com is available. So I'm seeing a bright future. Necrocapitalism is not available.
I don't even know how to move on from that. I will say the most nightmarish would be when humans become the biological organisms as end effectors. That's
what I'm saying.
That's the ultimate.
Every living being. Dang, somebody's just sitting on necrocapitalism.com. They haven't even made anything for it.
Crony capitalism.
That ticks me off.
We will miss the days of crony capitalism. Remember the good old days when it was just crony capitalism.
Necrocapitalist.com. Okay, I can get necrocapitalist. There we go.
Yeah, you're just one guy. You're not you're not the whole movement. You're the guy.
Exactly. I could see, we get a Instagram account, we get a TikTok account, we start a movement. Yeah, kind of like the minimalists. Except it's the necrocapitalists. This is good. Yeah, this is good. All right, I'm just going to go ahead and check out on this. And let's keep moving.
All right. We've been tracking China for a long time. We've been talking about the Civil War, the Cold Civil War, not the Civil War, the Cold War, that is the Chinese sort of infiltration of the United States that's been happening for decades. And the 2027, the long-awaited war, World War III, to break out in 2027. But it is possible that we just carry on with China as our new sort of supply overlords. This is from Financial Times. Apparently I have a lot of Financial Times articles here today. The headline here, quote, "We can de-risk but not decouple from China," says Raytheon chief. The clip here from first on CNBC of Mr. Raytheon chief here. What's his name? It is Greg Hayes. And he talks about this idea of de-risking, not decoupling.
I think what is important for...
Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, I could probably get Mr. Hayes and all the military-industrial complex fellas on a podcast for necrocapitalists. If the military-industrial complex does not fully sort of embrace necrocapitalism, I don't know what's happening to our world.
Oh, boy. You'll have a whole dashboard. All right, here he is.
I think what is important for the American people to understand is the relationship with China. We have to find a way to get along. There is a codependency, whether it's rare earth metals, whether it's pharmaceutical precursors. Again, $500 billion of trade comes from China to the U.S. every single year. So while we talk about pulling supply chain out of China, resourcing out of China, I would tell you it's very impractical. We've been de-risking for a couple of years, making sure that we have second sources for critical componentry. But unlike Russia, where we pulled out 2 weeks after the invasion last year, we shut down our factories, we pulled our people out, and we completely cut off any contact with our Russian customers. You can't do that with China. Too big, too important, and too necessary to the U.S. economy. I think the fact that Blinken actually made the trip, he saw President Xi yesterday, they shook hands, they spent 35 minutes together, that is progress. We're not done, but at least it starts us back on a path of civility.
Yes.
Yeah, it is nice. It's also nice that we can always count on Biden to really, every time somebody makes progress geopolitically, we can count on Biden to just yank that leash back as hard as he can. Because I think it was today, he just immediately came out and called Xi a dictator, which he is a dictator. But you're not supposed to say that,
especially after Blinken comes out and says that that we support the one China policy. We're not about Taiwan independence and all this kind of stuff. But Joe didn't get the memo clearly, the update on the whole China situation, because he was talking about defending China all last year, even militarily, or not China, Taiwan, defending Taiwan at all costs if China were to invade. And so, yeah, he's sticking to that narrative. But apparently, any progress Blinken made, Joe, 2 steps back, a trip over the sandbag, as they say.
That took me a second. That's good.
Okay, so one of the things to point out here is that Raytheon has rebranded. Did you know Raytheon rebranded? I didn't know until this article.
I did not know that.
They rebranded to RTX.
Yeah, it sounds like a crypto.
They're joining the X crew, and eventually I'll publish a list of all the X stuff here. There's been some great, articles and stuff written over the years about it, but obviously you got Elon Musk's X.com, SpaceX, Xbox, FTX, which was the crypto thing, EDX, which is the new Citadel, all the big Wall Street guys, their new crypto exchange, EDX. There's XRP, Immutable X, that's all crypto stuff. And it has to do with certain folks in the satanic world who believe that the X is actually the mark of the beast. So it's an interesting rabbit trail to go down. Raytheon sort of joining in on that, the parade, I suppose. But at the very end of this article that we were looking at, this Financial Times article with the interview with this guy from Raytheon or RTX, let me just mention this part here. Raytheon believes that its decision to rebrand itself as RTX, announced on Sunday, will allow for a clearer distinction between the commercial aerospace businesses and its defense activities, which will continue to trade under the Raytheon brand, he said. So there you go. It's
okay, so Raytheon is
situation,
Raytheon is still the
military-industrial complex.
Yeah, the necro-capitalist.
Necro-capital, one of the leaders.
Did you see, speaking of which, did you see the Lockheed Martin Pride Parade float?
No, I did not. I didn't hear. No.
Oh, it was great.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's just like Pride Parade footage going around, and this big rainbowy float comes by, and wouldn't you know it, it's got Lockheed Martin on all sides, and there's some very happy, presumably gay people, maybe allies, on the float celebrating their pride and their who they are. And
so we have a whole
means.
month. They have a whole month to put together floats and do all kinds of parades and traumatize children.
Talk about rainbow washing the military-industrial complex.
Yeah. And speaking of Lockheed Martin, on the defense side, supply chain snarls continue to impact the production of rocket motors for missiles for both Raytheon and Lockheed Martin, including Stinger missiles and Javelins. The focus has been on capacity constraints at rocket motor producer Aerojet Rocketdyne, which recently received government funding to help it expand its operations. Quote, "There's a bit of black magic to those rocket motors," said Hayes. "We've had quality issues, shortages in laborers and material and blah, blah, blah. It's a little black magic." Okay. All right. That's not, it sounds like he's been hanging out with the descendants of Jack Parsons or something.
Maybe some.
I don't know.
Some Crowley. There's a lot
Parsons
of options.
doing the Crowley, rituals and stuff. But it's all the same group there. So I don't know. It's kind of weird to drop a black magic reference to rockets, at the end of this Financial Times article. But there you go. That's part of it. Now, we've been looking at China here and how. To me, Basil, it seems like the whole Taiwan situation that the United States has already lost the whole Taiwan situation. That's just my opinion. It's just how I feel about how it's going right now. And, who knows? Things can change. Maybe Abe Lincoln will come save the day. But there was this other article here, which, you were saying that it's not that big of a deal. We've known this type of thing.
Well, that's not what I was saying. I wasn't saying it's not a big deal. I'm just saying there's no new news here.
Sure.
Except for other companies are doing the same thing Huawei did.
Right. And it's the mainstream reporting, I suppose, also. I guess there were some mainstream reporting about Huawei. I guess that was a big deal. But this is from Wired.com. And the headline is how a shady Chinese firm's encryption chips got inside the U.S. Navy, NATO, and NASA. Are you confident about our intelligence, Basil?
Yeah, I don't really. It's almost like the headline is kind of bearing the lead a little bit. Says, who cares how it happened? It happened. Our military and NASA and everything is encrypting using chips that the Chinese can look at all the encryption. What's the point of having encryption if the Chinese can just scoop it up anyways?
Well, this goes back to what Hayes was just saying, and this whole idea that, China we can't couple from China, it's probably because the way I thought of this, and this is just my own brain trying to understand all this stuff going on geopolitically, is the same way how Epstein and that whole operation had all this dirt on politicians and entertainers and all these people, right? And so they can kind of manipulate politics and do that kind of thing. It feels like a similar situation with China and the entire American intelligence. They just have all the dirt. They have all the data. And so, United States can talk big or whatever, but ultimately when, you sort of grind it down to the basics, it's like, yeah, we really can't do much about it. And it's going to take a lot of time to actually move away from technologies or parts, I guess, that come from other nations. And even our own nation, what proof is there that stuff we build in America is so much better, or that doesn't have backdoors or potential backdoors? So yeah, it just seems like the whole China situation, we lost. Like we lost 30 years ago, and we're just finally starting to see sort of the fruits of the whole situation. But I don't know. Maybe I'm too pessimistic.
No, I mean, it was the globalists' dream to have a globalized supply chain where you can take advantage of cheap labor in other places and to support this sort of unrealistic lifestyle expectations of the American middle class. That's partially why they want to destroy the middle class, is because they know that they can't afford it. They being the elites, they can't afford to have a middle class because they can't get things cheap enough for a middle class to exist. But yeah, it's one thing to have your Pokemon cards produced in China. It's another thing to have your
encryption chips.
Your encryption chips. Your rocket motors for your military industrial complex, the computers for your spaceships, all this stuff. Which is why the idea of a war with China is so ludicrous and makes the things Biden does even more unthinkable, is because there is no America as we know it. There's no American dream. There's no going to Walmart. There's no nothing without China, thanks to Bill Clinton and every subsequent American president, the sort of globalist setup that happened in the late 90s, where China supplies everything. Thanks to that, it just can't happen. If there is a war with China, China would win, not because of their military might or their genius strategic, genius. It's because all they have to do is stop selling us the bombs that we drop, stop selling us the computers or the chips that go in every single weapon that's done now. You talk about getting in an economic war with China, which has been the Cold War thing for a few years now, 3 to 5 years. The Chinese economic Cold War has really ramped up. And that's why we're seeing guys like Raytheon complaining, is because they are not just now feeling the pain of trade war with China or possible kinetic war. They have been feeling this pain for years.
Sure.
That's why they say, I don't know if you read it or not, but somewhere in that article talks about even right now, we can't take more orders for rockets until 2035.
Right.
Because there's no possible way we could get the ingredients for it.
That was I clipped all that stuff out because it was a little long-winded. But one of the things that's interesting was, yes, there are supply chains issues with China, but the thing, he was actually, this Hayes guy was pretty excited. He was pretty stoked or proud of the fact that, hey, we're sold. We have orders backed up till 2030 something. Everything is completely sold out. He was almost proud of it. So it's kind of a double-edged thing. Yeah, it's a problem that we have to, deal with China, but also, hey, we're not losing any money. We're actually fulfilling our duties with I think in the article here, it talks about how there's like a $9 billion what was it? Maybe it was more. I forget what it was. But basically, they're still going to be able to fulfill or meet their target to achieve a $9 billion free cash flow by 2025, despite all the Chinese things that are happening now. So they're not too worried, I don't think, with
necro-capitalism, baby.
Yeah. It's just keeps on going even after it did. All right, let's keep moving here.
Build back better. Build back better. Build back better. We will build Babylon better. This time, a new world order.
This was a fun one. This is coming from theconversation.com. And people might remember The Conversation as the outlet that had a fake headline edited in about being mad at anti-vaxxers for not telling the vaxxed that they shouldn't get vaccinated. You remember this? It was floating around everywhere.
Yeah.
Weird part of the story was it wasn't a fake headline. It was a real headline. It was just from a different outlet. I don't know. The mystery still remains. But this is theconversation.com. And the headline here is, conspiracy theories aren't on the rise. We need to stop panicking. Hey, finally,
who's
somebody's
panicking. First off,
somebody's listening. Oh, the panic is outrageous. You know who's panicking? Democrats. That's pretty much it. Big tech CEOs.
The people that are conspiring, maybe they might. Be,
at
least the low level folks. You know,
the
maybe
ones
not the
who
high
are
level folks.
The people who are getting their conspiracies revealed. Yeah. Yeah, but we've seen this pretty much ever since Trump got the job the first time, it's conspiracy theories are the devil. They are going to ruin us. They are a threat to democracy. It's madness. It's blah, 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 blah. We all know this. And just as a reminder, the phrase conspiracy theory was invented by the CIA after the JFK assassination to try to demonize people who were suspicious about the circumstances surrounding.
The phrase existed. They just weaponized it in a much more public way.
They made it like a household phrase. They didn't invent the words. You're right. But yes, conspiracy theorist keeps everybody quiet. You imagine tinfoil hatters. But in this case, nowadays, you're imagining hordes of red hats streaming into the streets and threatening our democracy or something. But here we go. Conspiracy theories aren't on the rise. We need to stop panicking. Several polls in the past couple of years, including from Ipsos, YouGov, and most recently Savanta, on behalf of King's College Policy Institute and the BBC, have been examining the kinds of conspiratorial beliefs people have. The findings led to a lot of concern and discussion. You mean a sort of obsession, I think is what they meant to say. There are several revealing aspects of these polls. As a researcher, I'm mainly interested in what claims are considered conspiratorial and how these are phrased. Look at this. We have an actual critical thinker about to look at these polls, Gons. Are you excited?
I was a little bit, sure.
But I'm also interested in the widespread belief that conspiracy theories are apparently on the rise, thanks to the internet and social media. Is this true? And how concerned should we really be about conspiracy theories? One of the common claims that is presented as conspiratorial that constantly appears in these polls concerns the cause of climate change. And it goes on into some of the numbers. So he spends quite a few paragraphs here. And I'm going to skip all the number parts because it gets quite tedious, but you'll understand. And what he's doing is comparing the numbers for these polls regarding conspiracy theories with older polls, some even going back to like the 50s. Well, for instance, this climate change one. In 2008, Ipsos presented the claim, climate change and global warming is a natural phenomenon that happens from time to time. And 42 of the UK agreed.
42%.
42%. In 2021, this was rephrased as climate change is not due to human activity. And 14% agreed. So you can see when you phrase it as global warming is natural, and it happens sometimes, you get almost half of all people agreeing. But when you change it from a positive to a negative, climate change is not due to human activity, only 14% people agree. So you can see where this is going. He's deconstructing these polls and the way they're presented over time to show how statistics lie and how the mainstream media and elite think tank organizations are manipulating, not necessarily manipulating the data, but manipulating the people that the data is derived from.
Leading
the next
they
section.
call it framing, yeah.
Right. The next section, they go into framing effects. And I'm not going to read the whole thing, but everybody should understand this. We talk about it here all the time. Framing the question in one way or another will affect how somebody answers the question, much like the climate change question we talked about there. Let me read just a little bit of this. Where is the exam? Oh, they talk about, again, climate change. Each poll varies considerably in how the claim is phrased, either by explicitly referring to it as a hoax or as not caused by humans or being natural. But we can also consider the same issue another way. The UK Savanta survey found that 74% of the UK public agreed that climate change is a threat to the planet. The Ipsos UK survey, meanwhile, found that 84% of people in 2022 were concerned about climate change, sometimes referred to as global warming. So making a point that even the words used to describe the exact same thing can cause a change in the data. He says here, what I've demonstrated can be viewed as a common cognitive psychological phenomenon called framing, which can influence how we draw conclusions. For example, imagine being told a meat product is 75% lean or 25% fat. Even though both mean the same thing, depending on what the focus is, the former product will be viewed more favorably. And you might be thinking to yourself, duh, Basil, of course this is the case. And yes, that is exactly what I said, and indeed what Gans said when we first read this article. But keep in mind, this is mainstream reporting laying out data from a researcher to try to give at least the tiniest toehold in the mainstream media that perhaps we shouldn't believe statistics. And maybe, it goes even further, maybe some conspiracy theories are true. Clearly, before we panic about any one claim, we should look at the results in both ways and also in all the ways the topic wasn't framed. People's beliefs are complex and cannot always be captured neatly in a survey. Wow, insight. We should also think deeply about why people believe in a certain conspiracy theory before we dismiss them as crazy, and whether, in fact, it is a conspiracy theory or just skepticism.
Not a theory. If it is a conspiracy, a fact, it is a conspiracy. Yeah.
Right. Conspiracy or just skepticism or actually a valid belief. To the latter point, one claim of particular interest to me is that this is what I loved this example you just did. This is one, save this link, folks, because this is this could be sort of a turning point for a lot of people. I'm not saying our entire civilization is going to change their mind about conspiracy theories, but somebody is actually talking some sense. And in a world, remember, this is in the context of, as we're documenting on this show, which takes us by surprise, the mainstream media beginning to turn their, ship around when it comes to, vaccines. We've been seeing a lot more, let's say, non-narrative and non-mainstream narrative explanations of the vaccine. Same with the Nazis in Ukraine. We've started seeing Nazis in Ukraine in the mainstream media. What's another one? Lab leak theory, a great example of the mainstream starting with a trickle. And then when it can't be ignored anymore, they've laid down a foundation where they can talk about lab leak without dying of embarrassment about how they've acted over the past few years. So keep that in mind as we go through this one. To the latter point, one claim of particular interest to me is that the, quote, media or government adds secret mind-controlling technology to television broadcast signals. As a U.S. survey recently found in 2013, not that recent, 15% agreed with this. And in 2021, 17% agreed. Right. So, I mean, the specificity of that question, media or the government adds secret mind-controlling technology to television broadcast signals. You can see how that could be taken in wildly differing degrees of ways. This may sound shocking, but in many of the studies that I have recently conducted, when asking people to reveal the ways in which they think they are being manipulated, a sort of mind control, in their day-to-day lives, the media features quite heavily. No kidding. But according to my research, there isn't anything particularly conspiratorial about their views. Now, this is a guy who does these polls and research for a living, who is telling the truth about how the mainstream is not only lying to us, but also controlling our minds. Such as this, he continues, priming techniques. Using a word or image to change someone's behavior without them being conscious of it, or widely used by public or private sectors to influence behavior. That's despite the fact that the evidence for their effectiveness isn't exactly wrong. So right here we have a mainstream media outlet admitting through this researcher that, yes, mainstream media mind control exists, and it's in the very mundane act of having hyper-specific priming techniques, whether it's images or words, in order to influence our opinions. That's basically what this entire show is based on, is pointing this out in the media. The point here is that the claim that mind control technology is used clearly sounds conspiratorial. It would mean a brain implant. So pointing out the assumption that when you say, yeah, the media mind controls us and the government helps, the non-conspiracy theorist goes way further out into crazy land than the actual conspiracy theorist does. Mm-hmm. It continues. But if by mind control, what is actually meant are psychological techniques such as priming or nudging used to manipulate behavior, then this is a scientific claim that has spawned thousands of psychological studies, and a survey typically won't clarify what people take mind control to mean. So, long story short, pointing out every poll, every piece of data that you are told about conspiracy theories is manipulated and sort of made to be what that is. They then go into another comparison about people who believe in JFK assassination conspiracy theories, UFO conspiracy theories, and these numbers have almost not changed at all.
Right.
1966, 50% of people thought that there was more than one man involved in the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. 50% of the entire country thought that it was a conspiracy
in 1966.
And then, in 1966. And that's why they invented the idea of conspiracy theorist. And this is compared to 56% agreed in 2021. So really not much of a rise at all. When it comes to UFOs in 1995, 49% agreed that the government is keeping information from the public, showing that they are real, and that aliens have visited Earth. In 2021, 50% agreed. So basically the same amount.
Okay.
I would love to see the numbers for that in 2023.
Well, percentages is one thing. It's I don't know. I suppose he talks about framing and priming and all this stuff, and he doesn't really address that as part of these polls here and the comparisons, because is it the exact same question that that was asked in 66 and then in 2001, or is it,
Yeah, he could be more specific in that case.
Yeah.
But
anyway,
it's an article,
I'm
not a book.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I see what you're saying. I'm going to skip down a couple paragraphs. While it might seem intuitive to draw a connection between what happens online and the beliefs that might motivate behavior offline, we are still mostly drawing this connection based on correlation rather than causal evidence. Mm-hmm. And this is a big thing for him to say, because that's what the entire media has been based on for 8 years now?
At least. I mean, it's been longer than that, but high gear in the last.
But it's been in high gear, right? Yeah. The whole thing, the whole idea that online censorship is the most pressing national security issue is based on this idea that what people say online has anything to do with what they do offline. You hear this with every shooter. You hear this with every FBI sting operation. You hear this with every single big shocking news event is, online. We looked at their social media and they're just off their rocker and they're racist and they're Nazi. When in fact, the theory that online behavior has any correlation with offline behavior is not actually scientifically proven. It's correlation and not causal. Mm-hmm. Clearly, belief in conspiracy theories is complex. And at that sentence, Gons, I just went ahead and took a big sigh of relief. It just seems like finally somebody is giving the conspiracy theorists the credit they deserve. That all these conspiracy theories, it's complex. It's not easy to do, man. There's a lot of nuance. What this tells us is that we have to be careful about how quickly we reach for the panic buttons. Ultimately, panic can lead to self-censoring, as any concerns, doubts, and skepticism are equated to conspiratorial thinking. Hyper fear-mongering about conspiracy theories is shutting down all sorts of free thinking. And leading to self-censoring, because you don't want to stray even an iota from the mainstream narrative, or else you're in the out group. This is not a healthy way to go, he says, and it makes it more difficult to reach out to those with violent or seriously concerning views with convincing arguments and evidence. Again, making the point that this incessant obsession with the minutest of conspiracy theories is actually making it easier for the real violent people to get away with what they're doing, with the real crazies. And we all know there's real crazies out there. But this sort of ticky-tacky nitpicking at every non-mainstream belief as a conspiracy theory, or as not, I mean, it could be a conspiracy theory, but as fake or not true, is actually making it easier for the real horrible people to do the horrible things. Some of us might argue that those real horrible people are the necro-capitalists who make gajillions of dollars off of murdering people and cause and propagate wars for the sake of a profit. But in this case, we got to worry about our neighbor who believes that UFOs are real. Ooh.
Well, I also tend to think that some of the aspects that maybe he didn't touch on, and again, you're right. This is not a book, so it's not like a comprehensive thing. But, he kind of just looks at a study that compared some old questions to the modern questions. And, the conclusion being that, conspiracy theorists aren't on the rise. But, there's a changing landscape here where a lot of what was theory has now become just facts,
Right. So that does change the math a little bit, doesn't it?
So it's kind of like, all right, well, sure, maybe there's not like a net difference, but the tide has risen, like all the boats have risen in a sense where there's maybe the same amount percentage wise, but in reality, it's a lot more people just coming to know facts about stuff.
Totally. Another reason why statistics lie is, I think we had, if I had to go off of memory, I think we had under 100 million people in the country in 1966. Could be right, could be wrong. And 150 million people believing in UFOs is way more than, it's probably more than the entire population of the country in 1966.
Especially if you count the babies. Those babies believe in UFOs, man. That's crazy.
Those conspiracy theorist babies.
Conspiracy babies. Let's see. I'm trying to look up.
Oh, now I got to go check conspiracybabies.com.
Conspiracy baby. I'm sure that's taken. Someone tried to capitalize on that for sure. Yeah. So I don't know. It's an interesting article, and certainly, in my opinion, here, this is like this won't last. This is like a one-off.
I hear you. I have, and it's quite possible that it won't last. But here's the thing. Part of what we do here is track these little trends, and in the same way that we identified the turning of the boat when it came to COVID narratives, when it's coming to Ukraine narratives, when it's coming to all of these big, huge meta narratives that the media is involved in crafting and steering and propagating and tweaking and manipulating. It starts with a little thing like this. It starts with one little article in kind of an off-brand but still respectable outlet, and then we'll start seeing more trickles. I would love to start seeing more trickles, because what it's saying, what it's communicating to the mass public is, hey, maybe next time listen to your conspiracy theorist friend. You might not be as crazy as you think. Just talk it out with them. Maybe he's got a point, type of thing. And you start growing that, you could have some serious movement in the sort of narrative control, or out of control, who knows. But if that does start happening, immediately I'd be suspicious of PSYOP.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
Why does the mainstream media want us to believe in conspiracy theories?
That's the other side of it. It's almost like no matter what, it's a PSYOP. No matter what, it's social engineering or behavior engineering, one way or another. Where it's like, you want to keep them in the dark, that's one form of social engineering. You want them to explore certain topics. Why? Why do you want them to explore? And especially now with all the UFO stuff and the alien stuff that's become mainstream again. This happened in the past, but there's more government involvement again in this topic, and it's bringing the whole conspiracy topic back to the forefront with various things. But I also I was just going to say, I'm also curious what the next group of marginalized people are. It kind of worries me, because conspiracy theorists it was general enough to kind of, it's you can't identify somebody as a conspiracy theorist just by looking at them, unless they're like literally wearing a tinfoil hat or something, or walking around in Alex Jones shirts or something, but there are certain markers, I suppose, but you can't just like categorize someone just by looking at them as a conspiracy theorist. But as things get more divisive, I'm just wondering what is next,
that's what I was going to say. Whatever it is, whether it is PSYOP related, whether it is sort of a paradigm shift in mass thinking when it comes to conspiracy theories, either way, whether it's controlled or not, it is a paradigm shift. Right. It is different, and nothing will be the same once that shift happens. But I'll tell you who the next sort of intellectually oppressed group will be, Gons.
Who is it?
Conspiracybabies.com. Yeah, baby, we got it. Conspiracybabies.com, the most important website that will ever exist. I'm just going to go ahead and forward it to Canary Cry News Talk right now.
While you do that, I will just say that it's just sort of put a cherry on top of this whole thing. That if you look at it from the economic perspective, maybe they need more conspiracy theorists or people investigating conspiracy theories, because economically, the old model, like the big pharma, big advertisement model, while it will remain because it's so big, it just kind of keeps going. It is changing, I will say. It's not dismantling, but it's changing in a way. You have your Rumbles and you have all this stuff going on. So maybe it's an economic thing where they're like, they need an audience, right? They need an audience that has this thinking, because that's where we're moving into. That's where mainstream is going. So
totally. Yeah. No, the second that BlackRock buys a share in Rumble, conspiracy theories will be all the rage. They'll be talking about it all day long on every outlet. The second that Vanguard gets their hand on some equity in Rumble or Gab or any of those things.
Yeah. Well, I think that's what Elon is building. Elon and Murdoch. We
it's a great example.
Yeah.
That's a perfect example. The second Elon got Twitter, conspiracy theories were, started becoming more, mainstream, more acceptable, etc.
Yeah.
I cannot believe I just got conspiracybabies.com. The Lord is good.
You have a whole brand lined up. It's our exit strategy. Conspiracy babies, little, onesies. You got
little onesies,
diapers, maybe some wipes.
Oh, that's genius. That's how we retire. We don't even need to do a podcast. We just got
if it's going mainstream, conversation helping us out, helping us with the market.
we gotta keep trade relations with China solid, because we gotta get mass produced baby onesies and hats and socks just smothered in conspiracy theory iconography.
Perfect. All right, are we going to thank some producers here?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. We don't play anything anymore. We used to play little jingles here, but we don't now. We just go right into it, which I guess we'll start with SpeakPipe. Is that what we'll do?
Yeah.
All right. Here we go.
Please leave a message after the tone.
At the tone, please record your message.
Leave a message. Beep.
Message.
Go to canarycrynewstalk.com. You can look at any of the pages there, and you will see a green tab on the right side or the bottom. Click on it, and it'll open up a little window that allows you to record a message of up to 90 seconds, and an audio message, that is. And we will play it for all of the Canarium. But if you don't want us to play it publicly, do let us know at the top of the recording, just so we don't accidentally play a very secret message on air. We don't have any SpeakPipe today, but definitely think about leaving one for Friday, especially if you want to leave a prayer that we play. We usually try to play the prayers before the show in the pre-stream. So if you'd like to cover the show in prayer, you can do that at canarycrynewstalk.com. Look for that green tab and record a message. So there you go. SpeakPipe. Boom, boom.
Mm-hmm. Do it.
Mm-hmm. What about some treasure producers? Are we thinking some treasure producers now?
Yeah, let's do it. It's the value for value model, folks. We are entirely funded by people who get value from this show. That's what makes the producer segment so heartwarming. Is it's not, this isn't money coming from some nameless corporation in, as a trade for selling our credibility or our voices in order to brainwash our listeners into buying products they don't need with money they don't have. No. You should question everything, question everyone, but also question, people who are selling your attention. Your attention is the most valuable thing you have. Just ask Mark Zuckerberg. And if somebody is making money off of your attention, you need to take everything they say under that context. But here, we're entirely funded by people who get value from the show. If you get value from the show, put value back in. It's an active participation. It is a paradigm shift. You've been trained your entire life to get media for with producer Erica E.
Erica E, thank you.
Yeah, Erica E comes in with 7777. That's a fun number.
Yeah.
Just a reminder for everybody. Yeah. If you want us to keep your support amount a secret, just make it a nice round number, just whatever, $10, $20, $25. You get the point. If you don't mind us reading it, you make it a funky number, put 77, 33, 1111, these types of things in there. It's just sending us a little signal that you don't mind us reading it. So thank you very much, producer Erica E.
Thank you.
Next up, we have CERN LHC protocol. So we went from, you know what? I'm going to do this one first. This one is Sir Scott, Knight of Truth.
Oh, okay.
Yes, Sir Scott, Knight of Truth came in for $30.33. I think, this was for Monday's show because Monday was a big day for Sir Scott, Knight of Truth. He is currently on a 301 episode streak.
There it is.
Yes.
He's
Can't believe it.
Yeah,
he's in the 300 club.
Wow.
It's only him and Sir Casey in the 300 club. It's really impressive. Incredible. And very heartwarming that you would commit. Honestly, the money is one thing. We're very grateful. But the amount of clicks, the attention, the time that it takes to support the show, remembering to do it 3 times a week for years now is really impressive, Sir Scott, Knight of Truth, and we appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Next up, we got Sir LHC Protocol V2, Knight of the Berean Protocol. That's right. Another Knight of the Canary Cry Roundtable comes in for a pocket full of 7s. He's on a 186 episode streak. And that is it. Right. That is the list of producers. Crying, yes. We needed a short show today, and that helped. So thank you. That concludes the list of financial producers who came in the amount of $7.77 or more, which entitles them to have a note read on the show. We appreciate that. We got a few people who came in under that. We got some streakers. We'll thank them as well. Okay. Starting with Dame Gale, Canary Whisperer of Ladies, X's, and O's, 274 episodes in a row.
Thank you, Dame Gale.
We got Sir Casey the Shield Knight, 312 in a row.
Ooh, thank you, Sir Casey.
Sir Morph, Knight of the Burning Chariots, 244 in a row.
Sir Morph, thank you.
And Veronica D, 274 in a row.
Thank you very much, Veronica D.
Thank you. Yes,
yeah, Streak-alicious.
Streak-alicious. Okay, there you go. Thank you to those financial producers. We got any producers who came in with their talent?
Yes, we did. Let's start off with the audio production here.
Audio production.
Yeah, we're going to thank some producers who came in with their talent here. Starting off with audio production, we got something from Little Owen. It's a 2.5-minute piece here. Daniel 12, 3 through 4. Play a few seconds.
Those that are wise, they shall shine. It's the brightness.
There's some people that were really digging Little Owen's style. I saw some comments on YouTube asking what the tracks were at the end of the show. That was one of them.
Yeah.
So thank you very much, Little Owen.
That's rad. Thank you very much, Little Owen.
Yeah, I'll play the whole thing at the end of the show for sure. So thank you very much, Little Owen. I didn't see a note accompanying that piece, but we appreciate it. We also have something from Jonathan F.
Jonathan F.
A couple pieces come in here. The first one with a note that said, "Hello, just someone casually talking about Trump needing to be shot before correcting her Freudian slip on TV." Yeah, we played the clip last episode. Did you hear that one, Bessel?
No.
Oh, well, here we go.
Can you go to sleep safely at night knowing that this individual has the codes to the nuclear weapons? Having Trump not only have had the codes, but now having the classified information for Americans and being able to put that out and share it in his resort with anyone and everyone who comes through should be terrifying to all Americans. And he needs to be shot. Of course, he's going to have his day in court.
She did correct herself, so, you know.
Or what did she correct it to?
Shot. No, stopped. She was trying to say he needs to be stopped, but instead
I
she said
see. Okay.
he needs to be shot.
Right.
Yeah. And that was, I believe her name was Congresswoman. I have it here. Hold on. Stacey Plaskett was the one that had that little blunder there that went viral. So everyone knows her name now. Second piece here from Jonathan F. Hello. Just put some music to the mess. That was Ernie. I mean, Fetterman speaking about the jewel of a bill that Brando wants to pass on infrastructure. Hopefully it's as messy as was the address. Enjoy. Did you hear this one, Basil?
Yeah, well, we played it on the show.
Yeah, we did.
And now I'm standing next to the president again, next to a collapsed bridge here. And he's here to commit to work with the governor and the delegation to make sure that we get this fixed quick, fast as well. This is a president that is committed to infrastructure. Yeah, and then on top of that, the dual kind of inflation bill that is going to make sure that they're getting ready to develop runs like this all goes from there to doing rebuild.
I really got the cyborg thing down there, Jonathan.
It was almost easier to understand him in that than it was live.
Yeah, infrastructure, I think was the word he used. There you go. Thank you very much, Jonathan F. Appreciate that. Okay, what do we got? We got some art.
One art, please.
We got something from Sir Dove.
One art piece from Dove.
He has a note here. He says, "Peace. For today's artwork, I did a potential supply drop sticker design. Hope you guys like it. Keep doing what you do. I'll keep praying for Ian's."
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this is great. Thank you very much, Sir Dove. He comes in with a round sticker design here. Again, we need the stickers. We got to look out, supply droppers. You got cool new stickers coming in hot. And this is in the style of the CIA seal.
Yes.
And we've got a derpy eagle with a googly eye, his tongue sticking out. And the eagle's head is on top of a paper clip, of course. Very nice. Very nice. Operation Paperclip. On top of the white shield with the red compass star in the middle. The compass star's got a nice big old smile and a little winky. And across the top and the bottom, so you know it's a CIA sticker, it goes, well, nom, 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 nom. You got that clip laying around? There it is. Very good.
That's good old James Woolsey Jr., American political appointee, former head of the CIA. When he was asked about if we still mess with foreign elections, he said, well. By the way, his name will come up later in the show, but at the end here, just right before we end.
Great. Can't wait to hear more.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Sir Dove.
Thank you, Sir Dove.
I don't think we had any other art.
Nope, that's it for art. We have
just one. Okay. I will do this. I haven't done this in a little while. I will say the art production, the sound production, the talent portion of the producership of the show, it is something anybody can participate in. If it doesn't matter if you're good or not, of course, try your best. That's what matters, kids. Come on, we're all good millennials around here. But we got kids sending in crayon drawings. We got people making all sorts of funny stuff. No matter who you are, if you got even the inkling of talent, go ahead, send something in. Go to canarycry.art. canarycry.art, and that's where you can upload your art to the show. Thank you very much.
Yep, thank you. I'm trying to load canarycry.art. There it goes. There it is. Yeah, that's kind of what the website looks like there, and you can submit your art right there with the click of a button. So there you go, canarycryart.com. Or no, canarycry.art.
.art.
Yeah, there you go. It's hard to remember all these dot things.
Nah.
We got a couple microfiction for you.
Microfiction.
Microfiction.
This first one is from Runk Smash.
Did you cut that down? What happened to have that
That's shorter.
jingle?
It's shorter. Is that okay? Are you mad?
I don't know. I kind of miss it, but okay. Maybe I'm just not used to it yet.
Microfiction.
Where's Runk Smash? There it is.
The hooded beefcake silently helps the captain into the elevator and pushes the button.
Can't get past the hooded beefcake. Is that you? Are you the hooded beefcake?
Beefcake, we'll have to find out next time on Runk Smash Microfiction. Thank you, Runk Smash.
Thank you, Runk Smash. Next up, we have Stefan S.
At Aunt's annual award ceremony, Agent Street in a stunning white sequin.
This had to do with of course, the Senate receiving those satellite phones. Thank you, Stefan S. There you go. Thank you for all the talent that helps build the culture behind the community here at Canary Cry News Talk. We appreciate it. And you want to do the last stories here? Or I guess it's story. Yeah, okay.
So a new discovery. Antarctica.
Antarctica.
In the bottom of our planet.
Advanced
Antarctica. Climate crisis.
Penguins.
Aliens. Aliens. Aliens.
Yeah. Now, you sent me a text message, Basil.
Yeah.
You know, I prompt you every once in a while, like, hey, I'm putting the show together, send links. You don't always send links, but you know, sometimes you send me stuff. And this time around, you sent me a video.
No, I wait till right before the show to spring all my stories on you as a nice surprise.
You do that. That does annoy me. That's true. You sent me a clip of a gentleman speaking for about 5 minutes. I tried to cut it down. It's about 4 minutes. His name is Eric Hecker. Stop talking, Eric. Hold on, Eric. You're drinking something. That's what it is. Yeah, so Eric Hecker, he started talking about some stuff that he saw while he was a contractor and at the South Pole. Should we just play the clip and we can just comment along the way? And then there's some things that I uncovered about the whole situation here.
Yeah, there's a lot to be uncovered about this guy. How long is the clip?
It's 3 minutes and 54 seconds. It's kind of long.
It's kind of interesting.
It is interesting.
I mean, it's worth
compelling.
listening to.
Yeah, let's
especially
do it.
if we're gonna rip the guy apart. Let's see what he's got.
I have already given all pertinent information and supporting documentation to the Senate Intelligence Committee and AARO. They informed me that all of my information will be recorded for public record and shared with Congress. It is that important. Yeah. In 2010, I was selected to go down to the South Pole Station in Antarctica for an entire year by Raytheon Polar Services as an employee of a third-party contractor for the National Science Foundation.
Raytheon again. There's RTX, or maybe it's just Raytheon because it's all military stuff here.
I function in a dual role capacity as a tradesman and a firefighter. My responsibilities required me to be more informed than most of my crew and offered me complete access to the facilities. What I learned from this unique experience needs to be shared with the entire world. The technology at the South Pole Station certainly can do what it is presented as its primary purposes, and unfortunately, much more. The Ice Cube neutrino detector is presented as a passive listening device for the purposes of the science as presented. But I'm going to skip right through the chase, folks. I have provided documentation that proves that the 5,160, what they call DOMs, that are embedded in the ice can actually transmit at 2,047 volts each. That gives us a long list of things to consider. It is effectively a multifaceted directed energy weapons platform that I will list rapidly a few things that it can do. Vehicle detection. We're learning that these off-world craft, on-world craft, ours or other nations, are also emitting neutrinos. So this makes the South Pole Station effectively an air traffic control station for this new level of equipment that nobody's discussing. I have provided documentation that shows that this is also a system for faster than light communications. In the past, Gary McKinnon has hacked NASA, found the off-world fleet, the list of captains, and it's apparent that if we have faster than light vehicles moving throughout this system, we're going to need faster than light communications. This is that facility. The season that I was there, 2010 to 2011, we converted from construction to operations and maintenance in both the elevated station and the detector array. Unfortunately, when they first fired it up, that was when we had the earthquakes in Christchurch, New Zealand. There was 2 incidental shots before they were able to target it correctly. This is an earthquake generating device as well. This is the weapons of war that we have to deal with now and what Raytheon's hiding. There's an ELF system at the South Pole Station that when I arrived, I was told it was off, dismantled, and completely defunct. In my work, I will rapidly just tell you, I had to figure out the circuitry for certain other repairs, and I found that this system is in fact completely energized, up and running, and being utilized with the other systems for nefarious purposes as well. The Atmospheric Research Observatory is in what we call the clean air sector. I witnessed myself a very powerful green laser shooting out of the top of this facility into the cosmos. This, I believe, is a secondary form of long-range communications and or a defense system. I am not saying that we need to be scared of anything that's out there, but please understand the military-industrial complex is happy to invest all of your money in alleviating their fears. A question of power comes into play for all of these facilities that are present. I assure you, I knew what was going on, I knew the load demands of the facility, and all of these new items exceed the demand for the systems that I was presented. I'm doing due diligence and research. I believe there is either a secondary power supply there that is either nuclear, that was there prior to the start of the Antarctic Treaty, which prohibits such things, and or that there is some sort of exotic power supply system there that just is not in the verbiage of the treaty, so it negates the responsibility to the parties involved.
Green lasers.
Green lasers, baby. Now, immediately watching this, I thought it was interesting. Nothing really sounded out of the ordinary. If you are obsessed with Antarctica and all the things going on down there, nothing was necessarily blew my mind, but it was interesting. You know, he claims to have worked on the actual devices that could do all sorts of crazy things that we've talked about. And he mentioned deciphering.tv, which is his website, I suppose. One interesting thing on his bio on the website here, it says his childhood included being part of the Stargate project run by the CIA and DIA. So just another detail. What are the odds?
Well, this would actually tie in with my little theory here going on. But go ahead, continue.
No, I'm just kind of giving some other background on it, on the guy. Just tell me what do you think?
Okay, so let's just when you sent that to me, I watched the clip and same thing. I was kind of like, oh, this is interesting. But then my second
By the way,
question,
for those who are just listening, he's wearing like a navy blue polo with a gigantic Antarctica research patch on the front.
Either side of his chest.
Yeah, he looks like very official. It looks like he's wearing like he's some sort of, I don't know, representative or something.
He earned the Boy Scout badges, the Antarctica Laser Reconstruction Badge. So,
right.
So anyway, so I watched the clip. I thought, okay, interesting. And my second question immediately was, who is this guy? And what event is, like, what is this from? So I started digging around, and I discovered that this was published on June 12th, Monday, at Dr. Stephen Greer's groundbreaking National Press Club event. Now, if
SETI.
Yeah. So if you're familiar with UFO stuff, you know the name Dr. Stephen Greer. And I've been very skeptical of him for a long time because he makes some pretty wild claims. Now, what it seems like to me is that he is pretty much a military op or government op personnel, so to speak, to sort of gather, and it could be. See,
You're talking about Greer.
I'm talking about Greer, but his
right. Well,
his
well,
thing,
Greer just a quick mention.
Sure.
He founded SETI, which is a government-funded looking for aliens organization.
All of his testimonials, he's been doing these types of events for a long time, where you have people come and they present their accounts or whatever it may be. Let me just play his little introduction, and it's a couple minutes long. Just get an idea of Stephen Greer here. And so this was the event. This was the opening remarks by Dr. Stephen Greer.
I'm Dr. Stephen Greer. I'm the founder of the Disclosure Project. I'm an emergency doctor, retired now, emergency medicine and trauma. I have been working in this area for about 33 years as a volunteer and as a provider of information to people in the United States government. You're seeing behind me a moment ago this event 22 years ago on May 9th, 2001. At that event, there were 22 folks who came forward, and that information is all on our website and on YouTube. And those were folks who actually, some of them, who handled extraterrestrial bodies called EBINs, extraterrestrial biological entities, handled craft, were on retrieval teams, all kinds of witnesses. Now, that got a certain amount of attention in Congress, but they weren't ready at that time to do hearings, which they're preparing for. I understand from people on the House Government Reform and Oversight Committee. And so over the last 16 months, I've been asked to provide as much intelligence as I can to folks who have been working to get to the bottom of this since the Congress passed a law requiring the Director of National Intelligence to come forward with information to the extent that he had it. Now, one of the problems with that process is that, and I discovered this in 1993, in December 13th of that year, when I briefed the director of the CIA at the time, R. James Woolsey, for then President Clinton. He and the president had been waved off and not given information on this subject.
Just real quick right there. Did you hear him mention James Woolsey? Are you still there, Basil? I think Basil's gone.
No, I'm here.
Oh, you are.
Can you not hear me?
No, I couldn't hear you.
Yeah, I heard him mention it.
Yeah, so there you go. James Woolsey again. Mr. CIA Nom 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 is mentioned again by Dr. Stephen Greer.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Right.
So he was part of it. But he's saying that Greer is saying that Woolsey and Clinton were not briefed on what was really going on. So that was the issue.
For that year, when I briefed the director of the CIA at the time, R. James Woolsey, for then President Clinton. He and the president had been waved off and not given information on this subject. That's when, as a young doctor, I realized that this was being run outside appropriate oversight and supervision by the office of the president and the Congress. And that is just the fact.
That is just the fact. So, again, the kinds of people he gets are all people that claim that they were part of Project Stargate. A lot of people say that. Stargate was the Mars portal project from like the 80s. Do you remember us? I think we talked about it with the guy who said he was going to become president in 2016. I forget his name.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
That's another guy. I forget his name, but that was the guy we look for.
Was it
Mars
John
episode.
Teeter who said that?
No, John Teeter was a time traveler.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Project Stargate included, remote viewing, some astral travel
Their
stuff.
big thing was an alleged portal that took people to Mars, and Obama was chosen to be president with this whole like apparently Obama was in Stargate. So it seems like some kind of operation from the get-go to maybe implant memories, I don't know. We don't have to explore all that now, but that's what it seems like to me, is to create sort of a generation of people that are in the psyop, so to speak. Maybe not
Something.
know it, but maybe they're victims of it, or maybe they can't.
We should ask him ourselves. We should get him on the show.
Well, yeah.
I'm on his website here. He goes on a lot of shows. I'm sure he'd talk to us. We might be the only other people on Earth that have a rivaling obsession with Antarctica.
That's true. Well, the other kind of obviously you heard the 33 years there, but the one that really was the big giveaway here. There was a gentleman named Michael Herrera. I've seen and heard of him before. U.S. Marine Corps, Indonesia, 2009. He has a pretty wild story about what he saw. But I'm just going to play the clip, and I'll explain what's happening for our listeners. Our viewers will see immediately what I'm talking about.
And welcome to Michael Herrera.
Yes, handshake, walks up to the podium.
Thank you all for being here. What I'm about to tell you hasn't been something that I've disclosed until recently in the help of Dr. Greer, among other people.
All right, so I'm zooming into his chest there, and on his necktie, clear as day, square and compass. Your Freemasonic symbol.
Yeah.
Boom. Right there.
Right.
I mean, it's pretty straightforward.
Sorry, I'm waiting for my monitor to catch up to where we are. So what you're showing on the thing.
The other pin, he's got 3 pins, or like it's kind of triangulate, a pin on his right side, a pin on his left. The pin on his right kind of lapel.
A lot of pins.
A lot of pins,
buddy. He's wearing a lot of pins.
A lot of pins. There's like a rainbow colored circle, and that is the United Nations 2030.
That's what it
logo.
is.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. I was going to say CERN, but I knew that wasn't right.
Yeah. So anyway, this guy's full. I mean, he's got the UN 2030 pin. He's got the Freemason pin. Are we going to believe this guy or?
Yeah, he's got an American flag. He's got something else. Yeah. So, I mean, it's weird, though. What is this event that you're showing this clip from?
So this is Dr. Stephen Greer doing a
press club event.
Yeah, it was like I forget what it's called. The National Press Club. Yeah, National Press Club event.
Yeah, so it's interesting. I mean, and this event is all about UFO stuff. People telling
it's the people that say they have experiences coming forward. And now that we covered some of this too, I think while you were out, maybe you were back, I don't remember, but there was a change in the law about whistleblowers and whistleblower protection, especially when it comes to UFOs and UAPs. That was the end of last year. And then that's why we had that recent intelligence guy come out. And so now it's almost like the floodgates are open, and you can have all these different people, these alleged people that are, official, were in the military. And, again, a lot of these stories are probably genuine. People see things or, get explained things that they don't understand or whatever. But also, if you want to gain the trust of the conspiracy theorists, don't go up there with the Freemason pin. I mean, it's just...
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny because it's like, okay, why would you wear a Freemason pin and an Agenda 2030 pin if you're talking to a bunch of UFO people?
Yeah.
That would tell them that you're a psyop or an infiltrator.
Don't believe me. Don't believe the story that I'm telling you.
Yeah, but and they're not going to believe me. Well, surely if he's certainly it's a joke. He's just kidding around. I mean, the Freemason pin and the Agenda 2030 pin. We gotta this guy's just a funny guy.
His left lapel. It's hard to see what's on his left lapel.
I
Maybe
can't tell. It's very
Panda
blurry.
G. That would really complete the trifecta. G, the United Nations, and the Freemasons. Boom.
Yeah, it would be a genius move if you were working for the CIA.
That's true.
To put all those on, because nobody's going to think that you were that stupid.
Yeah. So anyway, you sent me a clip from an event with 33s and Freemason pins, and so I don't know about the credibility about this Eric Hecker guy saying he saw, and he probably did see a green laser.
Here's the thing: I don't want to bash the guy too much. I want to talk to the guy. I want to know what he has to say. You do go to his website. He's got a ton of content. I think it's him going on other people's shows.
So he makes a living off this story?
It seems like he's doing well. I don't know. He's talking to a lot of people. I don't know exactly what it is, but it seems to be kind of his main thing. Now he does in his archives or whatever. He's got something with Michio Kaku. He's let's see, what were some other ones? the Robert Earl White Order of Light, connecting the dots. Marina Serin unveiling the Vril. Remote viewing team targets South Pole Station as source of Havana syndrome. Does not know it. Just a lot of stuff. But, I don't know. We have a website. We have a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I wasn't in Project Stargate, though. That might be a big difference.
Yeah. Again, it's probably one of those situations where there are elements of truth to all of this. There's maybe little pieces of it, but it's kind of hard to. And of course, they're trying to construct a narrative as part of the disclosure process. So we'll have to see how it all plays out, because ultimately there will be sort of a good guy and a bad guy when it's all said and done when it comes to this issue.
Yeah, he has sort of aggregated and has a spot on his website that has all the leaked documents about Stargate customer letter, Stargate contract review, Stargate management proposal. It's just got a bunch of documents on here too. Stargate handed CIA.
Do you think this is the same Eric Hecker as Eric Hecker from QT Hecker Wang LLP, partner at QT Hecker Wang LLP, diverse trial and appellate litigation practice?
I don't know.
I just found this random website.
Eric Hecker, who's a lawyer.
Yeah, Eric Hecker, the lawyer for QT Hecker Wang. Maybe he's in with China.
Let me go to his shop. Okay.
Super lawyer.
He's got a shop. Super lawyer. We've got stickers. Thinking in Time sticker. We got T-shirts. Ooh, we got a crop top.
All right.
Got a crop top with Deciphering My Experience logo on it.
Do they have Conspiracy Baby stuff?
No, on Conspiracy.
Untapped
no,
market.
But this is how we're gonna set up Conspiracy Baby. It's just his logo on a bunch of stuff. That's another reason why the Canary Cry supply drop is so unique, folks. We're not just sending you a logo on a T-shirt or a logo on a sticker or a logo on a hat, the same logo on everything. We put a lot of time and energy and love into making weird stuff that you're going to like. CanaryCrySupplyDrop.com, as long as we're talking about people making money off of their content. It's really weird. I forgot a bunch of stuff that I was going to say about this situation. So I did go and look at the Antarctica live stream, because there's live streams down there at different scientific stations or whatever. Sure. Yeah, one of them just had a huge green laser shooting off into the sky. Had you seen this before?
Sure, yeah.
You have? You've seen the green laser?
I feel like I have, yeah. I don't. Maybe not.
Well, a lot of people didn't seem too surprised by it, but who knows? I believe him. I believe him 100%. Come on the show, Eric.
That's how you appeal. That's your Trojan horse right there, is just blind trust.
I was poking around at his website again, and I went, and I don't remember which piece of content I clicked into, but he is very active in his comments section. There's people kind of trying to debunk him or talking smack at him in his comments section, and he's coming right back at him. I guess he's got beef with Elizondo. It's like a whole thing. He's in it, man.
Mexican UFO guy. Yeah. Well, hey, you got UFO factions. You got UFO.
He seems to be at war with Elizondo or something. Yeah. So, anyways, there you go. We got. The big one I got out of that was that Antarctica is a air traffic control tower for UFOs or something. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, go check it out, folks. My gosh, it is so far past bedtime.
I know. Just we got to end it.
Okay, let's zoom through. All right, everybody, thanks for listening to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Here's the thing. We got producers. They produce. The show doesn't exist without producers. So if you have never produced the show before, consider this an invitation. You've been waiting for an invitation. This is
Hey, Basil, people are telling me that they can't hear you, but I don't understand why that would be in the chat. They're saying that they can't hear you, which I all signals are working from my end. So I don't know.
That doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
That would be on your side, if anything, but unless your finger slip and you muted me.
I don't think so.
No,
Doesn't
I don't
look like
think so either.
Huh.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get out of here. Thank you to some of these producers. Let's start with the Clippies.
Oh, yes. Sorry. I'm trying to figure out the situation there, but here we go. Clippies. Oh, Clippies are muted.
Oh, no.
Clipping all those videos. Thanks.
There you go. Thanks. Somebody's saying when it zooms in on Basil, it cuts out. Maybe there's a setting on my close-up shot or something.
All right, hold on. I'm learning of what is, I'm learning what's happening here, and I'm trying to see what the issue is. And it does not, monitor and output. It should be working. I don't understand why it's not working. It's working in my headphones.
The two-shot.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, we'll figure it out later. We got to get out of here, man.
I know. All right. What are we doing? We're thanking timestampers. Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
Timestamp. It's hard work. Timestamp.
Yep, the timestampers, they timestamp the show. They do it live most of the time, which is an incredible commitment. We appreciate that. And the timestamps are so helpful. They go into so much of our administrative and back-end stuff. Thank you to Morgan E. for doing the timestamps for episode 635 with a little bit of help from Jade Bouncerson. Thank you.
Thank you.
Other than that, thank you to Jam for the links. Sir Sigurd the Beast sent in some articles. Tammy sent some articles. Thank you. Thanks to Clank for the assistance.
Oh,
and other than that, folks,
we didn't fulfill Clank's notice. We didn't Dame Marine M again.
Oh my gosh, we forgot the Dame Marine.
I know. We just keep doing
it. We will do it.
We're gonna do
on
it in
Friday.
The first segment on Friday. How about that?
We're gonna start the show with Daming Maureen. I cannot believe.
Yeah.
Maureen, I am so sorry. This keeps happening.
Yeah.
Okay. Go share the show. Share the show with your friends. Share it with your family. Share it with all your weird friends, man. People are getting permission to think outside the cage. The mainstream media is loosening the nuts, the bolts that are keeping people's minds so clamped up to what might be going on. So now's the time. Go share the show with them. You can share it in regular ways, like send them a letter or smoke signals or something like that. But you can also do it in not so regular ways. You can go down to Antarctica, become some sort of plumber or electrician, get hired to go down to Antarctica, work on a scientific outpost there, discover some sort of CIA, DIA, DARPA killing machine down underneath the ice, and keep it a secret. Don't tell anybody. Don't tell anybody ever. Don't start a website. Don't start talking to Stephen Greer. Don't do anything. Keep it to yourself, because that's what a patriot really does. And then at the right moment, when the world is watching, come on our show and tell us about it. And then tell all your friends, and they'll want to see what you have to say about Antarctica and directed energy weapons. From that time you went to Antarctica, everybody was a little worried about you. They thought maybe you didn't have a lot of direction in life. Maybe you were making some rash decisions. But it turns out when you took that job in Antarctica, it was the thing that changed your life forever. And you stumbled onto a vast network of conspiracists who are developing alien technology in order to subjugate and oppress the population of the world for their own profit. And you can exclusively give your story to Canary Cry Radio. And we would love to have you on. And I promise you, that your friends and family will be very impressed. That's just one way to do it. You don't got to do it that way. Do it any way you want. We call it rattling cages. And if you need more instructions, all you do is walk right up to him, grab him by the cage, and then you shake it.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted. I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
That's right. Just ask Noah. Gons, any last words?
No, not really. I'm tired. It's
yeah, it's bedtime.
Late. Yeah.
We're never doing it this late again. This is horrible.
Yeah.
I'm cranky.
Mm-hmm. By the way, it's still bright out where you are. It's pretty amazing. It's incredible.
That's
sun
funny
has
that
not moved in your
It's
location.
funny that you can see that. I'm in a VR headset. I have no idea what's going on.
Oh, maybe.
All right.
Maybe that robot arm behind you.
Oh, yes. My very cool background. Thank you for that, Gons. All right, everybody. Be back on Friday. We promise we'll be better. All right. Thanks for listening to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Make sure to tune in next time. But until then, think outside the cage.
They love killing.
This is the United States of America, for God's sake.
Remember, reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Buy gold. Buy!
Those that are wise, they shall shine as the brightness of the firmament, and they that turn many to righteousness as the stars forever. Down Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book. Even to the time of the end, many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall increase. Increase.
We will hunt you down and make you pay.
They love killing.
Canary cry, that's support.